everybody. I am Andra Annette, and welcome to Building Community. So, tonight I have a very special guest with me. His name is Clifford Starks, and he's a transformational coach and an author. But he's a former UFC middleweight and a U.S. Mixed martial arts Hall of Famer, which is pretty amazing when you just think about that whole sentence there together. So now he's turned leadership and marketing strategist, and he's helping high performers turn pressure into power. And he uses a fighter method and a form method. And he's going to tell us a little bit about this because I'm intrigued. So please help me welcome Clifford Starks. Hello.
Hey, how you doing? Thank you for
I,
having me.
I'm doing amazing, and I'm so glad that you're here. Um, I just, when I think of your background, that's so high achieving, that's on so high level, the things that you've already accomplished. And now you're teaching other people how to turn pressure into power. And pressure is everywhere today. The pressure to perform, the pressure to be a better parent, to be a better spouse, to be a better friend, to be a better marketer, right? To be bigger and better at everything. So um I think the audience could really benefit to learn a little bit more about this method and the form is about focus and stuff like that. So these are all things that have really helped you get to the point that you've gotten to in your career. So could you explain the kind of switch, why you're switching, and you want to impact like a billion lives, which is really, really amazing. And I see you're a daddy. So so
Yeah.
um so tell me a little bit about that. What got you started?
Yeah. So for me, I'm always looking to grow, always looking to achieve. But what really got me started, my first dad, I was a 4-year-old kid at the time. I wanted to get on a Ghostbuster ride of all things, and he didn't get on a Ghostbuster ride with me. And I remember being too scared to get on the ride and thinking to myself, I'm never going to let fear stop me again. And so that was really the start of me taking actions and becoming what I wanted to become. And so I just always would lean into something and figure it out, and lean into something else and figure it out. And I got better at figuring things out. And I got better at supporting other people in figuring things out. And I realized like the one thing that stops us is fear every single time.
Yeah, fear is big, and I think a lot of that comes from self-esteem and ego. I think people spend a lot of time in ego worrying about what other people will think instead of really focusing on the process that they're trying to achieve. So, how do you help people move through that? Because that's big, every time they go to start something new or they hit another level, that fear is always going to be there every time they start something new. So how do you help them transcend and move through that fear?
It always starts with what they want. I always ask the question, what do you want? Just like when I was that 4-year-old kid, I wanted something. I was just too afraid to get it. And I think when we are have the confidence and the courage to speak out what we want, that's the first step of moving into what we want to become.
Okay, so you went from fighter to marketing strategist. What made that transition for you? What was that like?
I had no idea I was making the transition. I went from so when I got out of fighting because I had my first son, and I remember it wasn't even fear anymore. It was terror. And let me explain this. When you go inside a cage, you have that fear and that faith, and you have to turn faith up, right? You got to click the faith up. Well, my last step into the cage, I wasn't able to turn it on. Something was off. And when I got inside the cage, I realized, oh crap, my priorities have shifted. because all I was thinking about was taking care of my son. I wasn't thinking about the fight at hand. And so luckily I made it out of that fight with no major bumps or bruises. And I told my coach that I was done. And I went into business kind of like the same way I went into fighting, not realizing how much I didn't know until I got into it. And I wanted to support my family. That's what I wanted to do. So I got in to support my family and quickly realized there's a lot more that I don't know than that I do. I think every time we take an action, we start realizing that, like, holy crap, there's a lot more that I don't know than that I do. And when I was in business long enough and I had gotten some mentorship, one mentor said something that really, really stuck with me. And he said, business comes down to marketing and sales. And to me, marketing and sales, as I look at it, it's the same thing as leadership. Leadership is marketing and sales because it's the ability to communicate effectively, and it's the ability to take someone from one position to another position where they're one way and they want to be a different way, and you support them as they go through that process in the most clean fashion possible.
Yes, very true. Very true. And everybody is, you do have to show them that path. Like you're here, you're at A, and you want C. You got to cross that bridge, right?
Mhm.
A lot of people get stuck in the middle of B. They get that hesitancy, they get scared, and that fear comes up. And I find that people get fearful even when they get close to what they really want. They're afraid that they can't go the full ride. They're not going to be able to make it. Something's going to stop them. I find people I work with are almost as scared as success as they are as failure. That's been my experience. That just as many people fear success as failure, and I've had my own experiences with that as well. So I
Yeah.
know that. Well, in my past, every time something really good happened to me, a leg would drop, right? Something
Mhm.
bad would happen behind it. So I started associating that good with that bad. Like, uh-oh, something bad is coming, right? So I had to wrap my head around changing that concept. So tell me a little bit about the F.O.R.M method.
Yeah. Yeah. So FORM stands for focus, ownership, realignment, and mastery. And as I've gone through my journey, I've realized if you build something on quicksand, it's not going to work very well. And so you want to build things with a solid bedrock, a solid foundation. And as I started navigating and looking back at my journey, I'm like, oh, whenever I build on a solid foundation, it works, it lasts. And
Mm.
so the form is it's for entrepreneurs and business owners, but the truth is anyone can use it. It's effective for everybody.
Yeah, yeah. So real life situation. So Cliff and I were supposed to meet yesterday. And I said, listen, I'm dealing with something. Can we possibly reschedule? So you were talking about that foundation. So when I came online, true story, I didn't know the first thing. I was lucky. I was just learning how to turn on a computer. I was that bedside nurse most of my life. I always work with people in person. So I allowed other people to build a lot of things for me,
Mhm.
because I didn't know how to do it. So I wanted to get my time back. So I said, here, you can do this. And a lot of them claim they knew how to do those things, but now those things are all falling apart. And I'm learning all those tools very quickly because I'm doing a lot of fixes and patches. And um, so I've been spending a lot of time lately going back and seeing where the disconnect is. So I have a book page that just went with 58 books that just went down immediately. And I said, uh-oh, what's going on?
Mhm.
Right. So
Yeah.
so then I said, okay, well, we just got to fix it. So I did, and I fixed it, and then it disconnected somewhere else, and this was like this whole problem. And then I found out it wasn't what I connected or anything else. It was a problem on where it was connecting to, and now they got to fix it, and I just got to wait, right? So, but because so many different people set up different things, and they all have their own ideals about how work ethics, I want to say. Some people are very, like, you've come across people in your professional life, especially in something like boxing and training and fighting, some people that were very focused and other people that didn't need to focus as much, or people that it wasn't their whole life and other people who took it so seriously. Well, I find that in the online space, and I've met a lot of those people on that journey. So now I'm rebuilding that foundation you were just talking about, and I'm in a way it's fun. I'm kind of going back and doing it the way I would have liked to have done it if I had the skills at that time.
Mhm.
Um, but it's a process. It's a journey, it's figuring those things out and restructuring. So I totally heard the strong foundation, not the quicksand. I felt like I was in quicksand this past week, like, uh-oh. And it does make a big difference, not just in your business, in all aspects of your life. The more you put into whatever you're building, the better chance it has of sustainability and taking you where you want to go, right? So
Yeah.
I totally get it. So tell me a little bit about your book. What inspired you to write that book?
I wanted something that could transform people when I wasn't around. And what I've learned is we always keep learning. We always keep learning and growing or not. I mean, some people choose not to, and that's okay. Neither here nor there. I get to choose how I show up. But my book was something that it's like a cliff in a pocket that people can have. And I don't have to be around all the time. So it's another level of leadership because I was looking for leverage as I'm going through this journey. And on my business journey, I want to transform as many people as I can, not just the group that have access to me, but people who might not have access to me.
So I mean, I know you're on Facebook, but do you have other social media outlets where people can find you?
Yeah, yeah, I'm on LinkedIn as well. TikTok. So I'm playing with that here and there, learning so much as I go through it. And I'm also on YouTube.
Okay, YouTube's great. YouTube's
Yeah.
great. I'm a
Mhm.
YouTube partner, and I enjoy YouTube. The more you build, the better it is for you over the long haul. The more you put out there over time, it builds into something very successful. It's like every channel, every social media outlet we're on, different audiences request and want different things or expect different things. Something that might not seem appealing to them today might spark an interest next week, and then it happens overnight, right? So,
Mhm.
and there's so much stuff out there. TikTok's a lot of fun. It's very busy. You can find a lot of great stuff on TikTok. I find amazing cooking recipes. There's one girl there that I just love. She does all this clean cooking, and I just love it. So
Nice.
yeah, so I meet so many inspiring people on this journey. What's that been like for you? The kind of people that you meet and touching people's lives in such a powerful way.
Yeah, I've met a lot of people. And what I've really learned as I go through it is we really are just mirrors of each other and we're also windows of each other too. So the mirroring part, if I treat someone a certain way, they're more likely to treat me that way
Mm,
with intentionality. And what's interesting, like you were saying, you felt the quicksand and you've also felt what it feels like to have a foundation. I think sometimes we have to feel quicksand to appreciate a foundation.
yeah.
And there's been times where I'll make a payment and it's because I didn't ask the right question or I didn't look at the right thing or there was something there that I didn't see that I got better at seeing after going through the process. And that's the thing, like life is a game of going through the process. You don't know, but you learn when you go through it. You learn something. And
Mm.
sometimes what we learn is like, yes, I got the victory. And sometimes it's like, I got poop in my head. That kind of sucks. I didn't like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I totally I relate because I've gotten a lot of poop and I've gotten a lot of victories. And
Yeah.
it is give and take. It is a learning process. And I think everybody in life is just trying to get through it the best they can and learn what they can from it to better them their lives, their family lives, right? Even the entrepreneurial space, you have so many people today that are leaving the 9 to 5 and showing up for something better, something they can have of their own, with skills from a career or something they just love doing. I mean, I see a guy training dogs online, right? So there's so many different people out there doing amazing things. You just gotta stick to it. I find that a lot of people come online and then you don't see them anymore. They don't stick it out. They don't have the drive to really do it. Maybe their why isn't strong enough, or maybe they just don't meet the right mentor, or who knows? But a lot of people coming on and then closing down, and then you have people that are just scaling, scaling, scaling.
Yeah. I look at it and I love what you said about the desire and also the right mentor. It takes both. And I believe anyone can have the desire if they're asked the right questions, and having the right mentor. Like, you can, some people can go through life and pick the right mentors every time because they have people who are guiding them in picking the right mentors. And then there's some people who they've gotten so much poop, like they've started with so much poop, like they think this is all there is to have. So they can find the right mentor and not even know they found the right mentor.
Yeah,
And that's where I go into the aspect of the better communicator I become, I can make others better. And so I look at leadership and I go, as a leader, it's about making everything you're around better. And that's what I focus on doing, is making everything that I'm around better. Now, I also had to learn how to be better and guard my energy too, because
yeah,
I like giving so much. And I literally burnt myself out on my own entrepreneurial journey.
yeah,
And it was like, oh, lesson learned. Like everything's a lesson. You go, okay, what did I learn from this, and what do I do now? But I bring this up to say I think everybody's brilliant because we're all unique fingerprints, thumbprints. We all have it. Some people just don't even know that they have it. And if we can even push them or guide them into the direction of, hey, this is an inside game, it's not an outside game at first. It starts inside, and then you can play the outside game, you can win. And I think that's a message I want everybody to hear, is like, hey, it starts on the inside.
you're speaking my love language there. Um, you know, I do health. I've been doing health for a really long time, 40 years, and
Mhm.
so many people don't get that they're the problems that got them, and you get this because you were in training for so long, that so many problems they're seeing on their body are reflections of what's happening on the inside. And if they're not
Yep.
going to do that inner work and see, what did I give up on? What did I put before myself that got me here? Um, because I was in that bigger body for a long time, and it was things that I started putting before myself that took away from that self care, that gym, that all that other stuff. And I had to look at that and be honest with myself, before I could worry about the physical. I mean, because, I understand the health and the biology of it, but
Mhm.
I wouldn't keep it if I didn't do the inner work. So
Yep.
without doing that inner piece, nothing I created on the outside was going to be lasting, because I'd wind up in the same place, right? Just
Mhm.
like when we lose our energy, when we keep giving away our energy. And uh, I gave away everything. The first 3 years I was out here, that's all I did was give, 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 you know?
Hmm.
And I think people were showing up just to see what I would give next. And what I was given was a lot of my energy because it was a lot of time and a lot of energy in the wrong places. So I totally get that, but I think we do learn, and sometimes it's hard to put the brake pedal on because you're a giver by nature. When you give, that's because that's where your heart's at, right? So it feeds a little bit of us too. When we can
Yeah.
give something to someone, whether it's a lesson or a tool or something that's going to help them, it feeds us a little too because we feel good knowing we are helping someone else, right? So it's hard to just put the pedal on that. So that's a very slow learning process sometimes because it's in our nature.
Yeah. Yeah. It taught me because it's vital for me to give to myself first. And I don't want anyone to take that the wrong way. I want them to know when you give to yourself, it actually shows others that they're supposed to give to themselves. It's actually a
Mm,
very winnable model for everybody.
yes.
And I would never want you to give to me unless you've given to yourself fully first, because I would not get the fullness of who you are if you did.
Yeah, I agree 100%. You again are talking my love language.
Yeah.
Self-care first, right? It does
Hmm.
make you show up as a better partner, a better employer, a better leader, right? Because if your
Yeah.
cup is half empty, then you can't give to somebody else, right?
Absolutely.
So I definitely get that. So what's next for you on your journey? Tell me a little bit about that, what you're planning from here.
So I am working on influencing 1 billion people to be loving, kind, and abundant. And the way I'm going about it, I didn't even know this was going to be happening as it was happening. The more I train leaders, the better leader I become as I go through the process. Because integrity is so important to me. I can't tell others to do something that I'm not doing myself.
Yes.
So every time I tell someone to do something, like I know I got to do it, because if I'm not, I won't even be able to speak it.
Yeah.
So they're making me better leaders. And by December 31st of 2026, I would like to have connected with 5,000 people on the journey and support them some way, somehow.
Well, I think those are great aspirations. They
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
are.
Thank you.
They they really are. I mean, it's very doable. It's very doable. You have at least 3,000 people just on your Facebook, so you're most of the way there, right? So
Yep. Yep.
you don't have that far to go. You're heading there. But
Yes.
I think it's great. I mean, you reached out to me, and I was glad to have the connection, and I think that's how we reach more people. We do reach our hand out and say, it's okay. I've been where you are. Take my hand. Let me show you. Right.
Yep.
Because that's what it's about. We are here to help one another, and we're all capable of doing the same things. We just decide what those things are for us, right? Some of us,
This is
yeah.
yeah, didn't mean to cut you off, but it's a very powerful piece to me. We are here for one another. And what was interesting, our brains are really good at looking at the negative. They're just like, you don't even have to try. It'll find negative stuff.
Mhm.
But when it comes to a positive, it's about being intentional with the positive and going like, okay, how am I going to be intentional with this thing? And I bring this up to say there's a group that wants to hurt, but they weren't just born that way. They were all children of God at one. They're all children of God. All of us.
Yeah.
There's a group that wants to hurt. There's a group that wants to help, no matter what. Children of God, and then there's everyone else in between. And when we can start communicating effectively, we can bring each other's greatness out and spread across the world and spread the light across the world.
and go home where we belong. So, um, I have this conversation with a lot of people, and people think I'm probably out of my mind. But there is a book, The Course in Miracles, and it's like one of my favorite books, right? And I happened on it by someone that I work with, like a mentor or something, and he recommended it to the group of us, and I read it, and it really made me rethink everything I had learned about God and the Bible and all that stuff. And it was just broken. It was a really, really, really hard book to get through. It was all in like
Mhm.
second person and third person, and I casually asked my girlfriend, I said, "Have you read this book?" And she said, Andra, I can never get through that book. It's just so hard to stay focused. I said, well, funny you should say that because they make one for dummies. If they have golf for dummies and math for dummies, they have to have a course in miracles and dummies. And they did. They did. And it was on audio. And
Nice.
I listened to it again and again and again. And that's exactly what that book is all about is, that we're blaming one another for things that weren't in our control and that we do live a lot in ego and that ego is not part of God. That's something that we created in ourselves from our own insecurities and that we are just here to help one another and bring each other home to where we belong, right?
Yeah.
So the book is very interesting. It talks about the world as we know it not really being created by God. These are that it's an illusion of what we've created for ourselves, but it
Mm.
really makes you rethink, like just really strong, powerful stuff. And there was another book that was supposed to be a preliminary to that, but came after that, The Disappearance of the Universe. So if you
Hmm.
ever happen on those books, pick them up because you'll be like, what? It's just this is like crazy. But it really made me question like the things that were pushed on me when I was growing up, religion wise and stuff that, you know, so much of it is really man made that like those things that are in those scriptures and not really from God, right? So um but when we think about the world today with all the division and everything that's going on, it gives us more of an incentive to spread love because
Yeah.
I mean we're not going to get anywhere by dividing ourselves further, right? If you're going down this street and someone's passing by, why not take them with you? Right? They need that ride. Why not take them with you? How much harder would it be to extend your hand? It's not. And the only way we could really do that is with empathy and kindness and compassion because we don't know what someone else's day is like, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I looked at God has spoken to me, and just to give everybody some context, I was a 13-year-old kid at the time. And I was like done with people because they were just not being very friendly. And I didn't want to be a part of it anymore. And I just said, they don't know how to love. And I heard teach them. That's all I heard. Teach them. And I'm 44 now, and I'm getting it more and more as I'm going through my journey. I also know love's very abstract. So it's like, well, what does it mean to love? And it means different things to different people. Like if I
Yeah.
had someone allergic to watermelon, probably not going to give them some watermelon. That's not really loving. So loving is listening, taking the time to understand them. And as I go through my journey, the more I take the time to understand people, the more they take the time to understand me.
That's that mirror you were talking about. Yes, yes. Because they say that the outside world is our reflection of ourselves. So if you're not seeing good in the world, then you're not putting that out, right? It's like the
Yeah.
person who's always too busy to say hello in the morning, right? And then
Mhm.
you say, well, God, she didn't even say hello to me. But then you have to ask yourself, well, did I say hello? Right. What did I say? Hello?
Yeah.
It is about checking yourself too and cleaning up your own side of the street, right?
Yeah.
Definitely is. It is. So I'm very excited to see what happens for you next on your journey. I'm so
Thank you.
grateful to have spent this time with you. Can you tell the audience where they can reach out to you if they need help in any of these areas?
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for that. You can find me on Facebook or on LinkedIn under Clifford Starks. And if you do watch this in time, I don't know when it's going to be uploaded, but I have an event coming up November 7th of 2025. It's at 8 a.m. PST time, and that is going to focus on focus.
Focus on focus. I like that. So
Yes.
my shows are already in the middle of November, but I think I'm going to break this down in some clips so we could try to get out
Awesome.
that November 7th. But give me the details for that also because
Yeah.
everything I everything I put on YouTube, I put where to reach you. Like you can reach out to him here, events coming up, get in touch here. So people have an idea where they could reach you because they're on YouTube forever. So someone might watch this a month from now and say, God, I really like that guy. Maybe he could help me, right? So
Yeah.
um yeah. And that's how we build our communities, right? Sharing other
Absolutely.
people's yeah. So I'm looking forward to that, and you could tell me about that link. Maybe I'll pop in and see the focus. I could always use
Yeah.
a little more focus.
Yeah. I say the only difference between the focus and unfocused is focused practice being focused.
You
Because
know,
I know I practice it on a regular basis. Sometimes I hit it out of the park, and some days I don't.
yeah, it is practice. So like I'm a chronic procrastinator. Growing up, like scholastically things came very easy to me because I had an eidetic memory. So I would wait till the last minute for a test or anything like that. And then that just became my pattern as I got older, right? And
Mm,
um I'm one of those people that can get very distracted very easily because I'm always moving, always moving. So even when I'm doing work, Cliff, true story, I have like five browsers open and I move between things because I get bored with it and I got to move over here. I get bored with it and I got to move over here. So I could focus on this and say, but when I lose that train of thought on this thing, then I move to something else.
mhm,
It kind of clears my head and I remember that train of thought.
mm, yeah.
you know so for me that's always worked. Maybe I have attention deficit at a really bad level. So I don't know, but I know that works for me, that when I get distracted I move to something else and it brings me back to what I was doing. It always winds up to come full circle for me, and I wind up getting more done that way than just sitting there focusing on one thing.
Mm. Yeah, I look at focusing on one thing too long can be actually a detriment. So when you chunk up your focuses, it can be effective for an individual. And I notice it's almost like lifting a weight. If you stay in one position for too long, it gets stuck. But
Mm,
if you're constantly moving it and you're taking the time to recover for a second, then you have the momentum to keep going.
I agree. I agree. You're a very smart man, Cliff.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it takes one to know one.
So I want to thank you so much for coming in today. I really so enjoyed having you, and I would like to have you on the book show. So I have a show where we highlight authors and we exhibit their book. So it's a little mini interview, but you get to read a little bit, like if you're a little bit of your focus method or what's in the book, and then you drop the book link under so people can know, because I find that so many people are writing today, but nobody's reading. So,
Mm,
so I want to get those books out there and get my readers reading. Okay.
nice. Yeah, I love it.
All right. So thank you so much, audience. I want to thank you for coming in, tuning in today on Building Community, and thank our special guest again, Cliff Starks. Thanks for coming. Have a
Thank
great
you.
night.
Thank you.